Hi everyone. I really couldn't put this video. Um, I did this video on Facebook, but I actually saw an article here on YouTube about a young lady who was homeless, and at the time they were interviewing her, and they, well, the gentleman that interviewed her asked her, how was it being on the streets, and how did she survive out on the streets, and what made her what made her uh, what led her out on the streets to become homeless. uh, I saw the article and it moved me. I also state that on my Facebook page, and I talk about it, but I couldn't bring up the video from Facebook here so that I didn't have to go on live. But I haven't been on live for a while because I had surgery, like I said before. But anyway, I couldn't bring up the video here because I don't know how to. So that so that you can see the video. Anyway, hi everyone. How is everyone doing? I hope that everyone had a beautiful weekend. My weekend, of course, was here in the house. So I was here because, like I said before, I had surgery, and I haven't been feeling well. But anyway, I'm going to talk about this young lady because her story moved me very much. Uh, due due to the fact that the story moved me was not only that she was a very young lady and was trying to survive out in the streets, but she spoke about how people don't care. People don't care about other people out on the street, and they actually look down on people who are out on the street. And she said that she gets tired of that. People who judge. Hi. My weekend was okay, Rodolfo. I hope your weekend was good. Mine was okay. I had surgery. I'm glad that you're tuned in to my channel. Thank you so very much for coming in. And she said how tired she was of people looking down on homeless people, and especially looking down on her as a woman who is homeless. uh, People don't realize how hard it is. If you're homeless as a man, it's hard, but I don't think it's as hard as a homeless woman. A homeless woman has to, uh, really take care of herself and be watchful of other men trying to hit on her, or, how she survives out on the street and having to ask money, and sometimes even for food. And even her personal hygiene becomes uh, a daily a daily struggle, because as us as women, we know how difficult it is when we get our menstruation, and how to keep ourselves clean during that time, and also cramps. And I only say this because I am a woman and I was once out on the street, and I know how hard it was to live out on the street, especially with my dog. This young lady didn't have anyone to actually look out for her. She was actually disowned by her father and her family, and it's not like her family are not, well off, but they disowned her for some reason or another. She also stated why she preferred not to be in a homeless shelter. Sometimes shelters can be a blessing, but sometimes they can also be quite tasking, because you are living, or temporarily, with people who are bullies, and who are not nice people. And so she preferred to live out on the street, even though it was a struggle for her, but she preferred not to go to the shelter. Sometimes people don't understand that when you are in a shelter, you are not protected. It's just, you have to live in a shelter for temporary time, and it's hard to keep up with your personal belongings, or people trying to bully you or hurt you, or beat you up. And it's very hard. And as her as being so young, she said that it was very difficult for her. Also, the fact that the person that was interviewing her also asked her, uh, why wasn't she working? And she said that she had a background history. And a background history means that, of course, she had history with the law. And of course, she didn't deny that she was an alcoholic. So that made it very difficult for her to get a job, maintain a job, and have housing for herself. Her family, as a matter of fact, one of her aunts, you know, uh, works in the housing thing and housing authority kind of thing, and so she tried, to reach her aunt, to no avail, because of course they disowned her. That's not my thing, though. My thing is that we shouldn't, I say we shouldn't, and we really shouldn't look down on a person who is homeless. We don't know what they're going through, how they got there, what were their circumstances before they became homeless. And yes, I do believe that people look down on homeless people because of the way that they look, and people tend to not realize that, it's a struggle. It's a real struggle when you're out on the street and you have to take care of yourself and, you know, take care of yourself and also survive out on the street. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, especially if you are a woman. I don't care how old you are, it's difficult. Women are not really built to do things that men can handle. That's what I'm trying to say. And so it's very difficult. Women are built very differently than men in regards to everything, even down to, her hygiene. It's very difficult. I mean, men can go inside and they can just wipe themselves down, but women, when they are on their month, it's very hard, especially when she has cramps and she's not feeling well, she's under the weather. Those things like that we all got to look at. And people, not they, but people, tend not to really realize that survival out on the street, as being a woman, you have to, be on your guard. Drugs are offered to you, sex is offered to you. Why? Because you are out on the street. You have nowhere to go. You have no home. And you also got to look at the law, that they will come up to you wherever you are sleeping, and they will, ticket you if you are even sleeping in a park. I know because I've been there. So, even if me being with my dog helped me a lot to not get into situations that can be very, very difficult for me to get out of. I'm not saying that I wasn't the kind of person that wasn't tempted to go the other way, like, okay, give up and drink and smoke and, you know, be like them, like give up, and so most people do, they give up and they, stop trying because it's difficult. Also, another thing, when you're older, it makes it even more difficult for you to get work, for you to pick up yourself and get a job, because most companies don't want to hire older people. Most companies don't want to hire people who have history, whether it be criminal history, or whether it be that you have a history of mental issues. It's very hard. And so, sometimes being out on the street, you can lose your sanity because so many things are happening around you. And you got to protect yourself, you got to take care of yourself, you have to, be on your guard all the time. Yeah, I know that. And I know what you're trying to say, and this is true. Most of them do pretend that they're panhandling, but the way that you can, Bentley, the way that you can see that, if the only way that you can know if a person is really homeless is the way that they look, and you mostly notice it by their nails, and notice it by their arms. If they are using drugs, you can notice it even by their fingers. Like I say, there are a lot of things that give away a homeless person. You know, versus a person who is just trying to get money out of you. Now, I know that what you're saying is true, Rodolfo, but right now I can't do that for you, Bentley. Um, so it makes it difficult. I know, but I remember a homeless person back in New York, okay? And this is true story. He didn't even look homeless. He was asking for money, and he wasn't even a disabled homeless person. Okay, and how did we know this? Is that he himself gave himself away because he was trying to act homeless, but not only that, he was trying to act disabled. And all he did was just put something here on his shoulder, go like this, and walk around limping. Okay? And so usually people, you can catch someone when they are lying. And you can actually know who's homeless and who is not homeless. Okay? And if you see their nails or if they're wearing, clothes that are clean, and I'm not saying that homeless people don't wash the clothes, but it's hard to find a place where you can uh, get cleaned up. It's hard. And so those are the things to look for, especially if somebody who's saying to you, well, I don't want food, I want money. Well, then you know that the person really is not that in need of, of food because they're asking more for money. And so then you don't want to give your money out. What you mostly want to do is give your, food or, show your support, like be nice to people because we don't know what those people are going through. And so, yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but not all of the homeless people are like that. And you can actually tell who is homeless and who is not homeless. Okay. And also, let's not judge on the fact that panhandling, some people, yes, they do panhandle. But however, I did see a video where this old lady was, has a lot of money in her pocket, and some of that money that they actually gather up is for them to look for a place. Okay. Sometimes when they're panhandling is for them to look for a place. Now, she seemed like a person that actually was saving her money. Okay. It didn't seem to me like she was wasting her that money that was given to her. And it looked like she was gathering the money to get a place. Sometimes when you're older, I can let that slide. Like if you're like, I'm going to put, for example, like if you're 65 and over and you're homeless, okay? Well, I can see somebody doing that, where, you have very little resources. And Rodolfo, and you're absolutely right. Some of them are professional acting homeless. It's hard to tell if they are homeless or not. Yeah, some of them could be acting, but I'm not going to put that percentage of people who do that and make that as their living as making it a whole of other community where they are actually are homeless. Like I've seen a lot of homeless people who, because they have been so long out on the street, they stay out on the street because for the very same reason. Bentley, baby, I am talking right now. Wait. No, Cole Bentley. No. So yeah, like I know what you're trying to say. Like most people, they act. And I'm not going to say to you no because then that would be totally lying to you and that's, like I understand where you're coming from. But what my thing is, and it's a very challenging question what you're asking me. The only thing that I know is that when I was homeless, people were more more likely to give to me because they saw that my arms were not dirty. They saw that I was cleaned up very well. And mainly when I asked for something that I didn't have at the moment, was usually food, not money. I wasn't so more of money because, you know, people are very, very receptive of giving money out. And I'm going to tell you, I would be the same way. I most likely would give food to a homeless person if they really want me to help them. I would give food than money. That's all I'm trying to say. But not, not to say that there are people who are out there who are actually acting that they are homeless, and it really is hard to tell. But mainly if somebody is asking you for money and they go, if you have given like $5 just to say to a person, and then they go and do it again and ask for another $5, and then they go to another person and asking for $5, and you know that they're not, asking for any food, then you don't want to give money to that person all the time. Like, that that person practices, has a line already set to, to ask for money. But if you really are a person who, who really feels for that person, who really wants to help out the homeless people, give some food, instead of money. I normally will not ask for people to give money, but if you can, uplift a person, if they're feeling down, if they're feeling low, and they're feeling that they're in a dark place and they just like feel like giving up, like that young lady, you always don't want to always be so judgmental and just assume that she doesn't want any help, she doesn't need any help, and that, that let's forget about the homeless because, they don't want to better their life, which is not so. So to really pick out the ones who are not truly homeless and the ones who are is just, I guess, by feeling and gut, and not more so about how they look. Now, the young lady was very sincere. She did say she was an alcoholic, and she did say that she was homeless for 5 months, and she did say that her family did disown her. But in another aspect of what she was saying, she also said that she was very tired, and it can be very tiresome to be out on the street, especially if you're a woman. It can be very, very tiresome and very, very mentally, very mentally tiring as well. I feel for the young lady. I hope they make a movie out of her. Yeah, but the article really moved me. I felt like she was very genuine in that she was trying to make a point that people are always very judgy when it comes to, seeing uh, seeing a homeless person out there and just judging them for how they look, and just judging them on the basis of them, living out on the street and doing what they do is surviving. And sometimes we try to look for an outlet, we try to look for resources, and sometimes really the resources are just not enough or not very supportive, or is just, like she said, she doesn't like going to shelters because shelters, when you go in there, they bully you and they beat you up. And according to her, she was beaten up in the homeless shelter, and that's why she chose to live out on the street. Um, I'm glad that when they interviewed her and the man asked her, you think that you can stop, I know that you can stop drinking because I was once that person that used to drink, and then I have this amount of years that I've been sober, he told her. And then he said, if I can do it, you most definitely can do it too. Well, she said, I'm so proud of you. And, she was amazed at how long he was sober, and that he was just telling a bit of his story of how he was an alcoholic and how he could, how he got out of it. And so he was giving her some words of encouragement, like if he can do it, most certainly she can do it. So he asked her, how do you see yourself in 5 years? And she said, well, I hope to have I hope to be living off the streets. I hope to have a job, and hopefully, those were her wishes. And I hope that my family love me more than they uh, already do. Like, she'd hope that maybe her family can forgive her and love her for who she is, and the person that she was. Unfortunately, she never made it. She never made it, and she actually got killed by a train. So her story is a very moving one. And so, I have it on my Facebook, her story. And it's amazing, yes, how people just can judge somebody based on because they are homeless without even acknowledging that this person had a life. This person had a family. This person, has brothers and sisters, has a mother, has a father, had a life. And because she was disowned, uh, she had to, you know, live out on the street. And also, I have you know that she left out of her home because something very traumatic in her life happened to her, in which she didn't go into details about it. But, we don't know what battles people are going through. And so, just by a smile and a hug, and just to say that things will get better, there is a tomorrow, and, try to get by one day step by step, it'll help them. And even though you're not giving them any money, and even though you're not giving them any food, but just a word of support, a word of comfort, just a smile and a hug, and just say that things are okay. I'm your friend. If you need me, I'm here. If you need to talk to me. Sometimes these people do become very suicidal, and they become mentally ill due to the fact that are out on the street, and they want to give up because they see that there is no outlet out there for them, or no kind of support system, no kind of resources. And the very same resources, sometimes they are overwhelmed with people who are homeless, and they have to, take the case of what is more important. Sometimes we have people who come into homeless shelters that are mentally abused, physically abused, people who have HIV, people who are, can't go to the hospital and take care of themselves, and so they had to resort to the shelter. And so I was that very same person. I was once in the hospital too while I was homeless. I was really getting sick because I was living in a shelter that, where people were coming in, and were people who were actually very, very sick. And so, yeah, so like we want to be careful of how we treat others and how we deem others. It's very, very bad when you're a very judgy person, and you have shown no compassion or empathy for that person's situation. Not every situation and not every person wants to be out on the street. Remember that some people who are out on the street had a life, had a career, had employment, and had a family. And due to circumstances, they no longer have it. And so these half of the people that are out on the street are professional, intelligent people. Okay, so they're struggling to make it work. It's not like all people who are out on the street don't want to make it work for themselves. It does get very tiring. And sometimes, you look at yourself in a situation where you say, I want to give up. I no longer, want to be out on the street, and things become very, very ugly. So the next time, you see a person who is homeless, please don't be so judgmental. Don't be so critical of that person. Give a helping hand. And if you can't give a helping hand, at least give words of encouragement, words of inspiration. Um, give a Do something in the kindness of your heart, and just be kind to other people, because we don't know what kind of struggles and battles they're going through. Okay, and one day that could be us. There's no there's no race, color, age when it comes to homelessness. It's actually a disease of a community. And what I'm talking about disease is that, yeah, it's actually a disease that is, if you don't take care of yourself, and you don't manage your life in a good way, or if you find yourself in a dark spot, it could become that very same thing that you once rejected or looked down on. You could be on the other end of the receiver, or the other end of what uh, what you deemed as or or disgust can one day happen to you. So we got to be very, very careful of how we talk and how we deal with people who are in a situation that we know nothing of. So everyone, try to take care of yourselves. Thank you for tuning in. I am so happy that at least Rodolfo showed, and the person that's behind, I don't know who it is, or maybe it's Rodolfo. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This particular article came close home to me because I know how it feels to be homeless. But also, I will never give up on such an important cause and such an important subject, because though people may not understand how homelessness works or how homeless people become homeless people, I can somehow give my insight and give my knowledge and give my experience on a personal level because it happened to me. And like I always say in all of my videos, you know, it all boils down to the experience that I have been through. I will never speak about anything on my channel that I've not gone through. I always try and hope that if someone comes through my videos and sees my channel, it's not like a professional channel. I am not a professional person. I am a regular Jane who lives a day-to-day life, lives check to check. And there are many YouTubers out there who are just normal people trying to make the best of their life and trying to give some kind of inspiration, or trying to give a little bit back to the community, or trying to give some information or enlightenment to people of how it is to be homeless, or even to share in the experience that they have been through. And so please, let's not be so critical. We are so critical and we're so judgmental. And, you know, because a person looks a certain way, we immediately deem them, or really don't care about, you know, the person, because we immediately assume that that person does not want any help, doesn't look for help, doesn't want to better their themselves, which is could be totally opposite of what you're thinking. So try to be a little bit open-minded, try to be a little bit more kinder, and try to be a little bit more conscientious. Try to be a little bit more conscientious about, you know, about people who are struggling. Okay, we by a smile we can actually make a person feel a whole lot better. Okay, so everyone have a great week. Hope to see you again on live. Glad you tuned in. Take care. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, and if you come across my video, remember, I love you. I care about you, and I care about what you're going through. If you need to talk to me, I'm right here. I'm always here like 24/7 in my home. So everyone just take care and be safe, okay? Bye. Love you. Mwah.